Why does happiness seem to slip through our fingers the moment we try to grasp it? We live in a world that constantly sells us the idea that happiness is the ultimate goal, the pinnacle of life. Social media, self-help books, and even casual conversations all reinforce this endless pursuit. But what if chasing happiness is precisely what makes us miserable? Nietzsche, the philosopher who dared to challenge humanity's deepest beliefs, had a radical perspective. Seeking happiness is a mistake. He argued that the real driving force in life isn't pleasure, but power. Not power over others, but power over oneself. The strength to face challenges, to grow, to expand. And here's the paradox. The moment we stop chasing happiness, it starts to find us, as a natural consequence of a life well lived. Our society trains us to avoid discomfort at all costs. We look for shortcuts to success, quick fixes for suffering, and easy solutions to complex problems. But Nietzsche saw suffering not as an evil to be eliminated, but as the price of greatness. Happiness, in his view, is not a destination, but a byproduct of courageously engaging with life. To understand Nietzsche's vision of happiness and power, we need to explore one of his most fundamental ideas, the will to power. Despite how it might sound, this is not about dominance or wealth. It's about an internal drive, the force that compels us to evolve, to overcome, and to become stronger versions of ourselves. Happiness, in this sense, isn't something we achieve. It's the glow that emerges when we align ourselves with this force. It's the relief after winning a battle, the quiet pride of having conquered a personal struggle. We live in a time where happiness is almost mandatory. Social media floods us with perfect smiles, idyllic vacations, and motivational quotes that insist life is only valuable if we're constantly happy. But this relentless pursuit creates a dangerous illusion. The harder we chase happiness, the more distant it feels. This isn't just a cultural issue, it's psychological. Studies show that obsessing over happiness can lead to anxiety, depression, and even a sense of personal failure. After all, if everyone else seems to be living a perfect life, why am I struggling? Nietzsche foresaw this problem long before it became a global crisis. For him, happiness wasn't about comfort or the absence of pain. On the contrary, it's in the moments of struggle and triumph, when we face chaos and emerge stronger, that we experience real joy. He believed life shouldn't be about chasing easy pleasures, but about seeking experiences that shape and transform us. Yet modern society has abandoned this idea. We avoid hardship, resist challenges, and turn happiness into a never-ending race, one that leaves us feeling empty. And that raises a question. What if we've been searching in the wrong direction all along? When Nietzsche spoke of power, he wasn't referring to corrupt politicians or greedy corporations. Power, in his view, is something far more profound. It's the ability to transcend oneself, to turn weaknesses into strengths, to face life with courage. Think about a time when you overcame something that once seemed impossible. Maybe you conquered a fear, reached a difficult goal, or picked yourself up after a painful failure. The satisfaction you felt didn't come from avoiding struggle. It came from facing it head-on. That, according to Nietzsche, is true power, the kind of strength that only comes from embracing difficulty rather than running from it. But why does this concept matter so much? Because we live in a world obsessed with shortcuts. We want miracle diets, overnight success, and instant solutions. But real power requires time, effort, and often pain. Nietzsche believed that resisting suffering means resisting power itself. He saw discomfort as a catalyst, something that forces us to evolve if we have the courage to face it. This kind of power liberates us from a victim mentality. Instead of blaming circumstances or bad luck, we start seeing ourselves as the creators of our own transformation. Life stops being something that happens to us and becomes something we actively shape. And here's the ultimate paradox. The more we embrace this idea, the more happiness, real happiness, finds us. Modern culture does everything possible to eliminate suffering. We're surrounded by medication, therapies, and self-help trends designed to free us from pain and discomfort. But Nietzsche offers a completely different perspective. What if suffering is not a problem to be solved, but an essential part of life? He believed pain teaches us things that comfort never could. When we face hardships, we develop resilience, strength, and self-awareness. What we often call suffering is actually an opportunity for transformation in disguise. This doesn't mean we should seek suffering, but rather, we should recognize its value. Think about the hardest moments in your life. Weren't they also the times that pushed you to change, to grow, to redefine yourself? Nietzsche argued that overcoming suffering brings us closer to our true selves, allowing us to access a level of strength and fulfillment that would be impossible without these trials. In this sense, suffering is like fire. It refines us, shaping us into something greater than before. When we change our perspective on pain, we stop seeing ourselves as victims and start viewing struggle as the raw material for growth. And that is the true power Nietzsche spoke of. It's through this transformation that we discover happiness, not as something we chase, but as something that naturally emerges when we rise to life's challenges. Nietzsche's philosophy is rooted in the idea of constant self-overcoming. True greatness, he believed, isn't about status or wealth. It's about rising above our personal and collective limitations. Inside each of us is untapped potential, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Every challenge, every failure, every setback is a stepping stone towards that potential. The path to greatness isn't smooth. It's full of obstacles. But that is precisely what makes the journey transformative. This applies to all areas of life. Think of historical figures who endured failure before success, like Steve Jobs, who was fired from the very company he founded, only to return and transform Apple into a global empire. His story is proof that overcoming hardship leads to ultimate achievement. More than that, overcoming challenges builds self-efficacy, the belief that we are capable of reaching our goals. Each time we conquer an obstacle, no matter how small, we reinforce this belief, creating a cycle of confidence and motivation. This cycle propels us toward new challenges, expanding our potential along the way. When we shift our perspective, when we stop chasing happiness and start seeking personal evolution, something powerful happens. We stop seeing struggle as a burden and start seeing it as the path itself. And suddenly, happiness is no longer a distant prize. It's the quiet companion that walks beside us. In a world that equates happiness with comfort, Nietzsche proposes something radical. True happiness isn't found in comfort. It's found in power. Not power over others, but power over ourselves. Instead of chasing happiness, we should focus on strengthening our will and expanding our potential. And as we do, happiness stops being something we desperately seek, and instead becomes the natural result of a life well lived. The question is, are we brave enough to stop running from struggle and start embracing it?